Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you've been well. Have a chat with me here on the tailgate of the Tundra. This is gonna be a super casual, informal, kind of probably a rambling video about a topic near and dear to me, EDC and multi-tools. And we're in the new house, obviously. Well, I don't know. We're in the new house. I don't know if it's obvious, but we've moved. We're about, here's some, as I've been doing lately, I'll put chapters down below, so skip ahead. If you don't know who I am, my video popped up in your feed and you're like, I don't care about any of this stuff, just skip ahead, that's cool. But we're gonna start with some, I don't know, just a little bit of rambling announcements before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the video. So this video is gonna be about multi-tools. I am a big multi-tool guy. I'm a big EDC guy. You've seen, if you're a subscriber to the channel, you've seen dozens and dozens of my EDC videos. They're some of the most popular videos on my channel. People love EDC, they love gear. I don't like talking about EDC and gear in every single video I do, which is why I don't do it in every video. But what I do every day is carry a multi-tool every single day. 99% of the time, that's a Leatherman Skeletool, hashtag not sponsored, but Leatherman, hit me up. And sometimes I carry a knife, but I carry a multi-tool for a lot of reasons, and we're gonna talk about kind of like the backstory on why I carry a multi-tool, if you care about that, and what I think goes into making a good EDC multi-tool, not necessarily a survival multi-tool or some other purpose-built multi-tool, an EDC multi-tool, what I think works best. I'll probably talk about it more later, but Leatherman, Gerber, whoever, I would love to talk to you. I would love to design a multi-tool because I think I could do one better than everything out there. And I would love to. And it'll make you guys a lot of money. So hit me up. Sweet. I'll talk more on that later. What else? Oh, this. Here we go. My friend Mike Glover of Fieldcraft Survival. I just got home a little while ago and this was waiting for me. He launched a book called Prepared. I haven't read the book. I just got this. I just opened it. It was sitting here. I just opened it about 15 minutes ago. But he launched a book called Prepared. He sent out a little care package to some of his friends. Appreciate it, Mike. Not that he watches my videos, I don't think. He's way busier than I am. But Mike, a guy I love, a guy that knows his stuff, a guy that is a true prepared individual, launched his book. I'll link it down below. This is not sponsored in any way. It just came right as I was kind of getting things ready for this video. But a book on preparedness by one of the most prepared dudes that I know, who knows way more than I do. So he wrote a book. Check that out. All right, so story time. We'll call it. I get into these things. I just call them story time, where I kind of go back in time to kind of rediscover why I got into a certain thing. So I remember a very specific thing. Saving my allowance or doing chores or whatever. The first time I remember actually saving money for a specific purchase, it was a Swiss Army knife. And I have an older brother, 5 years older than me, Danny, and I looked up to him probably my whole life, still kind of do. And he probably got me into knives and stuff because he had knives and I was like, oh, it's cool, I want to get into knives. But anyway, Swiss Army knife, and not just one of the little ones, one of the big ones, like the 162 tools. I don't have it anymore, but I'll try and find a picture and throw it up. It had everything: ballpoint pen, tweezers, magnifying glass, saw, probably like 2 different kinds of saws. Yeah, I think it had a metal saw and it had a wood, everything. Saved up, bought that thing, loved it, whittled, cut myself a million times on it. I remember actually cutting through a branch just because I wanted to, and I slipped and gouged a huge chunk. I actually I remember it. I still have the scar on my knuckle from it right there. Loved that knife. And then one day my brother brought home a Gerber multiplier. Now I don't know the history of the multiplier. I don't know if it was out forever or if it was new at the time when he got it, but it was my first exposure to it. And I had Leathermans and stuff, the standard fold out Leathermans, and they were cool, but the multiplier just flung out. You one-handed flung it out, and it was pliers. And I was like, man, that is the coolest thing. And I eventually bought one. I've had a few of them through the years. I tried to find one. I probably have one in like a get home bag in one of the rigs or something, but I couldn't find one for this video. But that was kind of the defining multi-tool to me. I was like, this is really cool. It is easy to open and manipulate, easy access to pliers, one hand, whatever. It kind of changed the game for me. This was when I was in, I don't know, middle school or high school. I wasn't EDCing at that point in my life. You know, I'd probably get my knives confiscated. So later, I started carrying a knife after high school. I think maybe I carried a knife in high school, actually. I don't remember it being that strict. I lived in Hawaii for high school. Maybe I carried a knife, but the first knife I really remember carrying like regularly, like it was just, you know, my keys and my knife on my nightstand, and I put it into my pocket the next day, was in college. And that was a CRKT, I think it was an M16 of some variant of the M16. And I carried a knife forever. And then after that, you know, Kershaw's or Benchmades or whatever, I carried a bunch of knives. And then I think I kind of got into carrying like a small multi-tool, like the little Leatherman keychain one. What's it called? The Micra, maybe, but it had like scissors, and you could also get it in pliers. Gerber dime is an equivalent. Anyway, a small multi-tool and a knife was kind of what I got into carrying. And then eventually, probably a decade ago, I would say it's a good decade ago, because I actually looked real quick to see if I could find the first time I showed like a Skeletool in a video. It was like 8 years ago. I don't know how long I've been doing YouTube, 8 or 9 years though. And I had been just carrying it before I showed it in the EDC video, but as long as you've seen me on YouTube, I've carried a Leatherman Skeletool almost without fail. And it's actually been this exact Skeletool. I talk about it in EDC videos from time to time. It's got an actual Damascus blade on it. I think it was made by Texas Tool Crafters or something, but it's a Leatherman Skeletool CX, but with a custom blade. And I have not lost this. I don't know how I've actually lost this several times, but always found it. So never like a permanent loss. I don't know how I still have this tool. I don't lose stuff very often, but still, to carry this tool very literally 99% of every day, 99% of every day, whatever that equates to. 99% of the time, I have this Skeletool in my pocket. Have never lost it. And I've talked a lot about it in videos and stuff, but I don't think I've really ever dove in deeply to the multi-tool. So I kind of want to start a series called, we'll just make it up here, EDC Theory. EDC Theory, which dives a little bit deeper into the theory of why you would carry such a thing. Because most of you guys are gearheads. Most of you guys are prepared individuals. I say this sometimes when I'm talking to other YouTubers or whatever, and I'm like, well, my subscribers are better than yours, probably. I don't know if I actually have ever said that, but I think my subscribers are better than most, because whenever I meet you guys, I talk to you, and I'm like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. Or in the comments, I'm like, these guys know what they're talking about. And most of you guys are prepared, but every once in a while, my video will pop up on some random non-prepared person's feed, and they'll be, why would you need to carry a gun? Or why do you think you need to carry a knife? Or, oh, Americans are afraid of it, or whatever, you know? And there's some moron out there commenting and doesn't know anything, but for the most part, you guys know. So I think some of it's preaching to the choir with you guys, but for new people that are exposed, I've talked to a lot of people also I've met at Overland Expo or whatever, and they're like, you got me into EDC, or I've heard this one literally thousands of times, well, maybe not thousands of times in person, but through comments and in person, thousands of times, I bought a Skeletool because of you. I've sold more Skeletools, like without a doubt. I'm responsible for selling more Skeletools than anybody else on the planet. I haven't seen a dime from Leatherman, but I do get affiliate commission, so if you want to buy anything, use the links down below. But Leatherman Skeletool, and I've had a lot of other people talk to me about, oh, you should try this multi-tool, or you should try that one, or why don't you carry this, or why do you even carry a multi-tool? And that's kind of what this video is going to be about. So this is like a long, rambling intro to get to the meat of the video, and it's not even gonna be about the Leatherman Skeletool, because I don't really care about this. This is my favorite one, obviously, because I carry it all the time. But I'm just gonna talk about multi-tool theory. So why would you want to carry a multi-tool over a knife? You say, oh, I have some tools in my car, or I have plenty of tools at home. I have tools at home for everything. I have more tools than, well, every tool I have, I bought because I needed it. So I don't have more tools than I need necessarily, but I have tons of tools at home. And I have used the multi-tool more than all of my other tools combined. And that's the simple reason of the tool you're gonna use the most is the tool that you have on you. So when I'm walking through the house and something's loose, like a handle on one of my cabinet doors, I'm like, oh, that's a little loose. I have in my pocket at the time, I have a screwdriver, and that screwdriver is very easy to access. For the Skeletool, the screwdriver is this, and it's there. So it takes me no time whatsoever to say, oh, I'm gonna tighten that right now and tighten it. Not, oh, I'm gonna tighten that when I have a sec, or oh, I was on my way to do something else, so I'll try to remember, because I would have to go all the way to the garage, get a Phillips head screwdriver, walk back here, tighten it, go back, and you wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it if I had to go through all those steps at the time anyway. And I would remember, I'd say, oh, I'll remember to do this later, and I wouldn't remember, and then I'd come across the cabinet again, be like, oh, it's this loose, but I'm in a hurry, I gotta rush out the door, I'll get it later, and you never get to it. So the reason I use it all the time is because I fix things right on the spot, because it's a tool I have on me. And not only at my own house, if I'm at a friend's house, or I'm at the doctor's office, or if I'm anywhere and something's loose or something's sticking out, or there's like a little staple or whatever, grab my pliers and pull it out, grab my screwdriver, do whatever I need to do, because I have a mini toolkit on me at all times. So you have it on you all the time, you have it with you everywhere, and it allows you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, because instead of it taking 5 minutes to get your tools or do all, it takes 5 seconds just to do it on the spot. And I've tightened more things at other random people's houses than I care to admit, just because I'm that guy, right? And the multi-tool, I mean, a lot of you guys may say like, oh, I can tighten a screw with my knife, or I can pry a thing with my knife, or and that's, yeah, I understand that, but it's not the proper tool for the job. So you end up stripping a screw, or you end up gashing something, or gouging out a thing, or you end up cutting yourself or damaging something. It's just not the right tool. Whereas the multi-tool, I wouldn't say this is the best screwdriver that I have, or these are the best pliers that I have. Absolutely not. They're on the lower end of tools, but you do have pliers, and you do have a screwdriver, you do have a pry bar, you do have whatever your multi-tool has. You have the proper tool for the job, and that is important. And then I like this thing, and I've talked to other subscribers about it, and I've seen it in comments and whatnot. A lot of times when I talk about just preparedness, or having, kit in your truck or whatever, I am that guy. If I'm at a barbecue and someone, needs a Band-Aid, or they need something fixed, or they need a bottle opener or whatever, I'm that guy. And like, Mike has it. Mike has a multi-tool. Mike has a med kit. And I wouldn't say I like being that guy, but it's good to be that guy. It's good to be the guy that can fix things. It's good to be the guy that can take care of, little medical problems. It's good to be the guy that carries a gun and can save everyone. It's good to be that guy. And a multi-tool is kind of one more step in the direction of being that guy, more so than if you just had a knife, because almost everybody I know carries a knife. I am friends with knife-carrying guys, but I have not quite converted all of them to multi-tool guys yet. But I am, in a sense, that guy as well, in that I am a guy that's always tinkering, that's always tweaking, that's always fixing things, that's always doing something, and therefore I am always using a multi-tool for those kinds of purposes. But I do think that's good quality to have, a guy that just fixes and tinkers and tweaks with stuff all the time. So I encourage you to be that guy. So what kind of sparked my whole thought of making this video actually was, we were at Overland Expo West a few days ago. And I had actually talked to Talon a little bit, and Talon bought a Skeletool because of me, he says. But he carried it for a little bit. I don't think he carries it anymore. And now his favorite multi-tool is actually the Leatherman Signal. I had never owned a Signal. I always knew the Signal was basically a miniature Leatherman mutt, I'll call it, M-U-T. And it really is a miniature version of the M-U-T, which is a multi-tool I really like, but it is the beast of a multi-tool. So I had never, actually I think I did EDC this for a little while just for fun. But anyway, we started talking about the Signal, and I liked it. He had one, I was kind of playing with it. Actually, another guy, Andy from Diamondback, was there. He had a Signal as well. And so I was playing with the Signals, and I was like, this is a pretty cool tool. I had it next to my Skeletal. I was like, that's pretty cool, but I didn't like dig into the theory behind it. I was like, it's bigger than the Skeletal, bigger and heavier, but it has more tools and more functions as well. And as I was playing with it, I was like, I bet that could maybe replace my Skeletool without putting much thought into it. So I texted my friend Micah, Overland Under Budget. You may know him on Instagram and YouTube. And he, like me, is a tinkerer. He's maybe more of a tinkerer than I am. He's always tinkering. And he carries, I believe his everyday carry, pretty sure is a Skeletool. I mean, I know he has a Skeletool. I know he carries it. I don't know if he carries the Signal as well. I know he carries the Skeletool. But anyway, he knows people at Leatherman, so he gets stuff from Leatherman. I don't know anyone at Leatherman. I don't know why I don't know anyone at Leatherman, but he does. So I texted him, and I was like, Mike, I need you to get me a Signal. And what I meant was, I need you to hook me up with your Leatherman guy so I can get a Signal. He rolled over on his bike, and he gave me his personal Leatherman Signal. Thank you, Micah. I appreciate it. So he gave me a Signal, and so I put my Skeletool down and have been carrying a Signal ever since. And I like the Signal a lot. It's a great little multi-tool to the point where I bought another one. So now I have two Signals. I don't know. I bought it because I was like, maybe I'll send Micah his Signal back. But now it's kind of special. Micah's Signal's kind of special to me. So I don't know if I'm going to send this back to you, Micah, if you're watching this. But anyway, I bought this Signal, which is green with a little like topo blade on it. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool. He gave me like the stainless one. But I like this tool a lot, and I carried it. But the more I carried it, the more I realized it had some shortcomings and wasn't going to replace my Skeletool. So it will be retired to a different type of tool, and we'll talk about that. I think the Signal trumps the Skeletool as a survival multi-tool. I think it maybe trumps the Skeletool as a multi-tool that you keep in your car, or you keep in your hiking pack, or you keep in your get-home bag. It is a superior multi-tool, but why wouldn't it be a superior EDC multi-tool? And there's a variety of reasons that I think. It does have a pocket clip. It has easy access to a knife. So those are two of my main factors in what goes into a good multi-tool. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. So a multi-tool, so there's a lot of things that are called a multi-tool. Gerber makes some, Leatherman makes some, Benchmade makes some, everyone makes some. This is a Gerber. I think they would call this a multi-tool because it has a knife and it has some scissors on it and it has a bunch of other functions, a little Gerber thing. But what it doesn't have are pliers. So I'm just gonna say, for me to consider something a multi-tool, it needs to have, a knife, it needs to have screwdriver, and it needs to have pliers. I got this is a CRKT little multi-tool with a tiny little set of pliers on it. So I would consider this a multi-tool over a lot of other things, but I don't like this one. It just doesn't quite do it for me. Okay, sorry, I told you this was gonna be a rambling video. So the Signal, a superior multi-tool to the Skeletool. It's a more expensive multi-tool as well, but it has like a little ferro type rod. Okay, yeah, so a little striker thing, a sharpener, pocket clip like I mentioned, has a combo blade, a bigger blade than the Skeletool. I would say, you know, it's a better knife. It has a wood saw, it has a little hammer on it, has a little thing for hex bits, 1/4 inch and 6mm looks like, has arguably better pliers with replaceable cutters, and it has can opener and a bunch of little stuff. It actually does have a bit kit. Well, it doesn't have a bit kit, but it has a bit holder that works with the bit kit. And I don't think it has, doesn't look like it has extra bit storage. But anyway, has a lot of tools on it. As compared to the Skeletool, very minimal. The Skeletool has a knife, the Skeletool has pliers, and the Skeletool has a screwdriver. Bit kit screwdriver with 1 extra bit storage. So definitely fewer tools on the Skeletool, but I like it better for several reasons. The hammer, I don't use a hammer that often. Like if I need to hammer something, I will get a true hammer. There are very few times, except when I'm out like camping or something, where I need like a little micro mini hammer. It's cool, but there's substitutes. You could use a rock, you could use a flashlight, you could use a lot of things. There aren't substitutes for like pliers or screwdrivers as much as there is for a hammer. But around the house, I'm not gonna be hammering a nail in with this, honestly. I'm just gonna grab a hammer for that particular task. So yeah, it has to have pliers, and I think people kind of agree. You see in the EDC forums, I see them once in a while, and EDC pictures or EDC videos where people kind of nerd out on EDCing these little Knipex pliers. It's, yeah, they're a nice little set of mini pliers, but people will EDC this and they'll EDC a knife, and they won't EDC a multi-tool. And these little pliers plus a knife is way bigger than a multi-tool. This alone, the Knipex alone, is quite a bit bigger. It's a little lighter than a Skeletool. It doesn't have a pocket clip or anything. And arguably the Skeletool pliers and most pliers on any multi-tool, I find come in more handy. Like the Knipex doesn't even have a wire cutter or anything. These have a cutter, and I find the needle nose pliers more handy for random everyday tasks than like a dedicated set of Knipex. So I know people like pliers, and I like pliers as well. Use them all the time, but I don't quite understand why someone would ever carry the Knipex over like a Skeletool. I don't quite get that. But pliers are important to me. And yeah, pretty much all the multi-tools here on my tailgate have pliers. So I lost my Skeletool for a bit when I was building my house. I used my Skeletool every single day while I was building the house, and I lost it somewhere. I was like, oh man, it's gone. Because it's probably like, I just set it somewhere up in a rafter, or it got buried under the foundation or whatever. I forget at what stage of my point that was. So I bought a couple other. I was like, it's time to explore some other options. So I bought the Gerber Crucial. It checked a lot of the boxes that go into a good EDC multi-tool for me, but it didn't really do anything for me. It just wasn't quite as functional, wasn't as easy to use. And then I also tried the SOG, whatever this is. It's the Flash MT. It's another small multi-tool, definitely too thick for what it is. Both of these are pretty thick multi-tools for how small they are. And neither of them did some things that I really like about the Skeletool. And then the Signal, we were talking about earlier, it makes a better survival tool, but it doesn't do things as well as the Skeletool. Now, if we go back a little bit and we think about what I was talking about, how a good multi-tool, the good tool is the one you have on you, and it has to be quick. Using a multi-tool has to be quicker enough to be worth using a less than ideal screwdriver to do a screwdriver related task, or using an inferior set of pliers to do a plier related task, or kind of pry bar to do a pry bar type task. But they all need to be quick and they all need to be easy. And that's the thing, really, where the Skeletool, not a perfect multi-tool. I could design a better multi-tool than this. That's the shout out, Leatherman, Gerber. I got ideas in here that would make a much better multi-tool. But the thing that the Skeletool does have over every other tool is ease of use. Most good multi-tools now, including even, I have a Leatherman Free P4. This is a very good multi-tool. The P2 comes with a pocket clip. I bet I could use the P2 pocket clip on the P4. It's pretty heavy, has a lot of tools, more tools than I need. I think this would probably replace my Skeletool if it had fewer tools and was thinner. But to say that, most multi-tools have it right now where you have easy access to your main used tool, which is a knife for pretty much everybody. If you're carrying a multi-tool and not a dedicated pocket knife, what you're gonna use the most is a knife to open boxes probably. So easy access to your knife. That's the most important thing in a multi-tool for me. Having a pocket clip. Again, most of these have a pocket clip. I'm not about to like put a sheath on my belt and carry around like a sheath multi-tool. If that's your thing, nothing against it. It's rad. I'll get there one day, I'm sure. But for now, it's a pocket clip. And I like that. So easy access to knife, easy access to pocket clip. Then you have your other functions. And for me, the functions go, mini pry bar is probably what I use more than most other things. And a little, by mini pry bar, I mean something that I can pry under something, but also something on the Skeletool, this little thing, I talk about it in my EDC videos sometimes, is you can use the end of this to turn things that are like coin turn on the back of a Blink camera, or I just see one over there. There's a lot of things that you use a coin, a lot of things in the firearms industry as well, if you're like adjusting an optic or whatever, where you use coins or, you know, the end of a shell casing. But the end of the Leatherman, that little thing, no other multi-tool has that I don't have to open it, I just pull it out, that's it there. So I'm so accustomed to using that little thing, which isn't even advertised as a tool. Like Skeletool doesn't advertise this little thing as a tool. There's the bottle opener, which also you don't have to touch anything to get to the bottle opener on a Skeletool. So just the other night I had some friends over and we had some Coronas. We were having a Fast and Furious party. The Coronas aren't twist off there. And everyone's like, anyone got a bottle opener? I was like, oh, I got one. Boom. Oh, pop, 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 pop. Didn't even have to open the tool. So easy access to things like that. And then the next used item are screwdriver. And well, actually, I don't use the bottle opener that much. I'm not an alcoholic. But screwdriver and pliers. So pretty much all these tools have relatively equal accessibility to the pliers. Most of them fold open. And there are pliers. The P4 has a one-handed operation. The Gerber multi-pliers have a one-handed operation. But for the most part, it's quick and it's easy, whether it's one-handed or not. You can do the Skeletool one-handed. It just takes, you know, a couple operations to do. But I will usually just open it with two hands. But you can do it one-handed if you need to. If I am really like holding on to something and I need to do it one-handed, you can. So pliers, easy access, but pliers, again, I don't use them as often as the other tools I talk about. And then screwdriver. That's the beauty of the Skeletool as well. So you only actually have to open one thing and then you have access to your screwdriver. And that thing is easy to open. It's the main handle. You open it, you have screwdriver. Now, if this is kind of a personal preference thing, but you can use your Phillips or you can use your flathead. I would keep one of those two as my primary unless you're like doing a very specific task that requires like a Torx bit or whatever, then you can keep that in. But I will oftentimes keep the combo bit, Phillips and flathead, and I'll usually have the flathead because that is a really great pry bar. If I break it, I can replace it. And that's just replacing the bit. I'm not breaking a whole item, but easy access. Easy access. I'm not having to get my fingernails in under thing, look at which one it is, and pop it out. Easy. And that was the thing I was missing with when I was carrying the Signal, because the Signal, well, it has a little locking mechanism for the lock. You open it up, you gotta open it up, you gotta find the thing, you gotta get in there with your little fingernail, you gotta fold it out, and then you can't even really use it like this. Then you kind of gotta, whatever, close it back, and then you have your screwdriver. By the time I go through all that, you know, it wasn't that long, but we're coming to a point where I'm like, the pain it takes to get the screwdriver out, at that point, I might have just walked to the garage and grabbed a screwdriver, because I'll have a better screwdriver and it wouldn't have taken that much longer than going through all the steps. And I know that sounds like, oh, you're complaining, you're nitpicking. Oh yeah, well, you need to man up. That's just a couple of, yeah, I get that. But when we're talking about streamlining operations, when we're talking about ease of use, when we're talking about an EDC, I'm gonna carry something for EDC, everyday carry, because either A, I'm using that thing every day, or in the case of a multi-tool, a lot of times every single day, or if it's an EDC item, it better be saving myself and a lot of lives, AKA a gun. I don't use a gun every day, but I carry it every day because it is high value. So for the items that I use every day, I want them to be the easiest items that I can possibly use, and every other multi-tool on the table, every one of them I have, you know, I have 20 or 30 multi-tools, none of them touch the Skeletool. Now, I haven't even talked about what isn't even as important, like the Signal is a bigger multi-tool, it's a heavier multi-tool. I don't even mind that as much. If the Signal was easier to use, but it was bigger and heavier, it could certainly maybe dethrone the Skeletool, which is lighter and thinner. But the Skeletool is also, I think, the lightest and thinnest of the multi-tools. The SOG Flash, it's pretty light as well, but it's a little fatter and just kind of awkward to carry. So the Skeletool is comfortable and ease of use. And once you kind of get, what I realized was I didn't understand that. When I was playing with the Signal, which again, why I made this video, this random weird video, I felt like putting into video format what was going on in my process of thinking about carrying a new multi-tool and realizing that I wasn't going to carry that multi-tool, even though on paper it checked a lot of boxes. It checks more boxes than the Skeletool does as far as the tools it has, and it's a really well put together multi-tool. But the ease of use of the Skeletool, once you get a handle on it, and I've given all these other multi-tools a pretty decent shake and they just don't quite do it. But some other multi-tools to think about are kind of more purposeful, more purpose-built. Like here's a Gerber. This is a big one. It's actually, I think it's called the Dual Force, and that's because it has a crazy set of pliers. It has a crazy set of pliers here, and they're adjustable for wider or thinner. So this is a multi-tool that also has a better screwdriver. It's like the center drive as well, and it takes normal 1/4 inch bits. So this is a tool, massive, heavy tool, no pocket clip, but it does things better. So if you're like, I need a bigger set of pliers because I'm doing a bigger set of plier-oriented task every single day, or I need a better screwdriver because I'm actually using my multi-tool as a screwdriver like all the time, not just to like tighten the cabinet door handle. Like I am a tradesman who this makes sense. There are more specialized tools out there, and like the Leatherman MUT, if you're like, I want a multi-tool that I'm gonna keep in my range bag and I shoot AR-15s, this is the tool for you. You can hook it up with cleaning things. It has a scraper, has a cleaner, has all kinds of stuff that are kind of more firearms related. There are better tools than the Skeletool for a certain task, but the Skeletool still reigns supreme. And I think Leatherman did a great job with the bit kit. So the bit kit, I have like a little ratchet. This is not even made by a Skeletool, but it's a little ratchet. I'll show you here. little ratchet that goes in here. And this little guy can accept 1/4 inch or bit kit bits. So this is like an aftermarket thing made by some other brand that is for the bit kit. You know, it's got the little bit kit end in here that just fits into bit kit things. And if you don't know, I'm saying bit kit here. If you don't know what the bit kit is, you can get this thing from Leatherman, and it has, I don't know, 40 some bits in a tiny little package. And I think it's like 25, 30 bucks. I probably have 10 of these, and I bought every single one of them. And I just have them in basically every vehicle and all over the place, because you have all your Torx, you have all your hex, you have tiny screwdrivers, you have almost like a full-on bit toolkit in a very compact size. And then you can also get this, I keep with my MUT, a bit extender. This is a Leatherman product actually, but it extends it here, and then you can put in standard hex, or that accepts bit kit things. So I think a good multi-tool kind of has all that stuff going for it. Leatherman has created a very nice ecosystem with the bit kit, but a lot of these other ones, like I talk about, have the capability to use your standard size hex, or in the case of like the Flash MT, has a little thing here that can take your 6mm bits. So this video kind of went in a, I think it kind of went in a different direction than I was really planning. It got much more rambly than I thought. I don't think it turned out to be a very great video, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it still. And as much as I kind of want something to dethrone the Leatherman Skeletool, because I want to change it up. You know, I make a new EDC video maybe once a year because you guys love to watch them, and it's still the same thing. The Leatherman Skeletool. There's no dedicated knife that I love so much that's replaced it. I talk about it a lot. A lot of times I'll carry a knife just in addition because I do like knives, but the Skeletool is almost always there in my pocket as well. And I was kind of hoping, just because it was fun and exciting, and I think the signal looks cool, the Skeletool actually comes in a lot of cool colors as well. I want to see how long I can keep this before it breaks or I lose it, and we're on like 8 years or something now, which is incredible. But the signal is a really cool tool that I thought might replace the Skeletool, and I like some things about it, like the wood saw and the hammer and a couple of the other tools, like, interesting to me. And I'm like, oh, I could. There's definitely been times where I wish I had a saw on me just to do a little thing, but not enough to replace the ease of use of the Skeletool. So the Skeletool still reigns supreme until I design my own multi-tool. I really want to get more into that stuff. You guys know I have a holster company, LLOD.US, and it's been kind of neglected because this last year has been crazy. I promise I am bringing new models to the lineup, and probably new holster options as well. I just kind of want to expand the holster business, but I also want to get into more things. Like I designed this flannel with Vertex. Next up, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it, but I'm going to design other stuff with Vertex. I don't know in what order or when it's coming. It's probably years out, but I really want to design a pair of pants as well. The Vertex Delta Stretcher, amazing pants. This is what I'm wearing. It's what I wear every day. But I want to design a new pair of pants, but I also just want to design more tools and more stuff for everyday carry to make it better. Like I'd love to design a flashlight. I'd love to design a multi-tool. I'd love to design some like pouches and ways to store and organize gear in backpacks or vehicles. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to do. And one of those things is make a multi-tool. But making a multi-tool is so hard. I would never want to tackle that myself with just manufacturing and all of I'm not an industrial designer or anything either. I just want to work with a company that's already got it dialed, you know, Leatherman, Gerber, whatever, and just make the perfect EDC multi-tool like I made the perfect flannel with Vertex. So I want to do some more collaborations like that. So if you work for or with a company that is doing cool stuff in anything that I've been talking about the last minute, hit me up, mike@llod.us, and I'd love to chat, because I think that's kind of, I don't know, I like reviewing gear, but I would rather just design perfect gear, because I think I have a pretty good grasp of like what makes good stuff. So yeah, that was my ramble. That was my EDC multi-tool ramble for the night. Other than that, things are good. I have been, so that's kind of it for the video. It kind of wraps it up if that's all you were here for, but I'll continue talking for a little bit just about stuff. So we've moved in a few weeks back, and I've just been spending more time with Ashley and Cooper, and I have really been enjoying that. Just seeing Cooper's face just smile and light up, and kind of get a better connection and bond with him, because for the previous, well, he wasn't alive for the whole house build, but for the previous four months or so of his life, I've been gone most days. And when I'm home, I'm exhausted and working more. So I've been neglecting Ashley and Cooper more than I would have liked to, just for the sake of trying to get this house done as fast as possible. And now the house is done and we're living here, I am just really enjoying my time with them. It is great. It's just a reminder that, man, spending time with family is really, really the best thing. But all that to say, I have been kind of neglecting YouTube and stuff a bit. So now I'm kind of getting back into a balanced, healthy cycle and routine where I'm loving spending time with family. I'm kind of getting the house wrapped up. We're 80% moved. I probably have 20% of the stuff at the old house that I got to move out, and then I got to move all that stuff out, get it out of there, clean that house up, fix a few things on the house, and then get ready to sell that house as well. So I'm not quite out of the woods yet, as far as just like still wildly overworked and too busy, but I will be back into full swing. And I think I'm going to come back with a vengeance and just hit this YouTube content creation thing hard and go on lots of adventures and camp as much as possible. And just as Cooper gets older, just give him a really interesting, cool childhood experience. So that's what you have to look forward to. Thank you for sticking along with me. I know I'm all over the place. I mean, even in this video, but as far as videos are concerned, I get a lot of people that are always like, oh, you need to stick to one thing, or I liked you more when you just did Tacomas, or I liked you more when you just did guns, or I liked you more when you just did whatever. You know, people pick out some random thing that I made videos on at some point and they wish I just did that. But that is just not interesting to me. So I will never be the channel that just keeps doing one thing, and I'm never gonna apologize for that in like as a whole. But I do thank you for following along in the journey of everything. And you know, if it looks like I'm still like ragged and haggard and not sleeping enough, I still am not quite, but we're getting there. Things are in a good place for me. I'm really happy with everything going on in my life. I'm really excited to share a lot of stuff with you guys, and work with, you know, the brands that I love in the coming months and years, and everything's good. I just wanted to let you guys know life is good, and I really appreciate you watching. I mean, if you watched the video this far, man, I really appreciate you watching me ramble about any random stuff. It is a humbling thing to have people watch my videos and be able to do what I do, so thank you. Thank you for that. And as always, let me know what you'd like to see, both in videos. Let me know what you think I should design. Let me know what companies or brands you think would be great to work with. Let me know what you'd like to see in a pair of pants that I design, you know. any of that kind of stuff. I love hearing from you guys in the comments. So let her rip, and also hit that thumbs up button. I don't say that enough in videos, and people need a reminder that hitting that thumbs up button and commenting on a video apparently really helps the channel. So if there's a channel you like, thumbs up their videos and comment on their videos. Sweet. All right, guys. Well, until next time, take care.